Good day, good people. My name is Gentleman Viking, and welcome to the first in a series of videos where I try to rewrite the two latest Star Wars movies as part of the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and whatever the third one is going to be, because I get the feeling it's not going to be as good as we all hope it will be. Anyway, so I'm going to first start off with a rereading of the text crawl from The Force Awakens, and then I'm going to tell you my own version of it. So the original Force Awakens, I got them all set up over here. The Force Awakens. Luke Skywalker has vanished. In his absence, the sinister First Order has risen from the ashes of the Empire and will not rest until Skywalker, the last Jedi, has been destroyed. Pretty gravitas. With the support of the Republic, General Leia Organa leads a brave resistance. She is desperate to find her brother Luke and gain his help in restoring peace and justice to the galaxy. Leia has sent her most daring pilot on a secret mission to Jakku, where an old ally has discovered a clue to Luke's whereabouts. Now, a few people have had a few issues with this intro, mainly the fact that it essentially obliterates what happened in the last 30 years of Star Wars lore. We don't know what happened to the remnants of the Empire. We don't know what's happened with the rise of this new Republic. We don't know suddenly why there's this First Order pop out of nowhere, or even why the Republic, the new Republic, is just simply aiding the Resistance, not actively fighting it. We don't know if they're just busy with something else in the galaxy. We don't know if there's internal strife, or even if they believe the First Order exists. We're not told anything. So anyway, this is my version of the text crawl. The Force Awakens. It has been over 30 years since the fall of the Galactic Empire. After extinguishing the last remnants of the Empire, Queen Leia Organa, along with her friends and allies, have formed the New Republic from the ashes of war. In this time of peace, Luke Skywalker has sequestered himself in a secret Jedi temple to train the new generation that will protect the galaxy. But now a new threat is arising in the dark corners of the Outer Rim. Han Solo has sent his best operative to Jakku, where a former enemy might have information about this new power. Now I'll just break down why I've written what I have. So it's been over 30 years since the fall of the Galactic Empire. Sets us up from the last movie. We know how much time has passed, and we also know that, the Galactic Empire has fallen after extinguishing the last remnants of the Empire. So that's it, they're gone. Queen Leia Organa. She was a princess in the first movies. It does make sense that she would become a queen, especially if she is going to essentially form this new republic and be, for want of a better term, a politician. She was a general in the war, but now it's a time of peace. They don't need a general, they need a leader, they need a queen. You can give her the title of general again later on, but just giving her the title, it just once again makes seem like nothing has changed in the past 30 years. Plus, I mean, Queen Leia Organa. I'm pretty sure most other people have been calling her queen for the past 30 years anyway. She is our queen, she is our princess. Along with her friends and allies, have formed the new republic from the ashes of war. So it lends credence to the fact that this new republic, they're fresh out of war. Some might feel that they don't want another war. They don't want to get involved with another galaxy-wide conflict just for the sake of conflict, even if it is to protect the galaxy. And plus the fact that I've written along with her friends and allies. While it doesn't mention characters specifically, it does say, hey, yeah, look, people helped. She didn't do it all on her own. Other characters like Admiral Akbar, Mon Mothma, they've all helped to create this new republic from the ashes of the Galactic War and the Galactic Empire. In this time of peace, Luke Skywalker has sequestered himself in a secret Jedi temple. No one knows where he is, except for a select few, to train the new generation that will protect the galaxy. We all wanted to see what Luke has done in the past 30 years, how he has resurrected the Jedi Order. Even just doing that, it's lent power to the fact that yes, Luke is a Jedi. He is training new Jedi how to be Jedi. and who will protect the galaxy. It doesn't give us any concrete details of who he's training, what age they are, what code they're following, but it says that Luke is actually doing something. But now a new threat is arising in the dark corners of the galaxy. Now we all know that's going to be the First Order, but you're thinking to yourself, well, hang on. Like, the first time you'd see this, you would think, well, hang on, the Empire is crushed. What's going on? Who is rising? What is this power? It adds an air of mystery to the story, to this new threat. When the first Star Wars movies were released, the Empire. We knew the Empire was bad, the Rebels were good. And even in the prequel trilogy, when you had the rise of the Separatists, you didn't really know who they were or what they wanted. Han Solo has sent his best operative to Jakku. So I've completely just rewritten Han Solo in my version. They completely undid 30 years of character building, lore building, all centered around his character. He essentially hit the reset button, went back to being a smuggler, and not a very good one. So, and it also implies that Han he's not dealing with the political side of things like Leia, but he is a part of the New Republic. He is helping to keep it functioning. Has sent his best operative to Jakku. Yeah, nothing changed. Where a former enemy might have information about this new power. Now, the reason why I said former enemy, when I first went in and I watched The Force Awakens, and they said, oh yeah, it's this friend of Leia who has information on Luke, and they showed the character, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I've never heard of him, I've never seen him. Now, my only experience with Star Wars is the movies. I never read any of the books. I played a few of the video games, but most of those were either the RTS, like Galactic Battlegrounds, the Battlefront games, which didn't really have... They had a story, but it wasn't a story, and the Old Republic games. Awesome, if you've never played them, play them. Anyway, so whether this guy was introduced in the books or in some other media, I had no idea who this guy was. So I didn't feel any emotional connection to this character, and especially not when he died. So, yeah, what's the point? Making him a former enemy, you're thinking, oh, okay, then who's this guy? What's his connection to this new power? What's his connection to the operative, the Republic? I would want to know more. So anyway, that's the end of my text crawl. Okay, so scene 1. The movie opens in orbit of Jakku, seeing several moons. An older model of Star Destroyer is being towed into orbit by smaller craft. This is just what I've written on my notes. Now you can even start that kind of like how the Star Destroyer in Force Awakens was introduced, of it's in shadow. You don't actually see the whole thing. But then, once it comes out of the shadow, you can see that it is being towed by smaller craft. Now I was wondering if you wanted to have this flyby scene of a helmeted character who would eventually be Rey towing this giant Star Destroyer. The reason why for that is because a lot of people had complaints about the fact that Rey said, I don't know how to fly a starship, and then suddenly she's pulling off death-defying maneuvers in the Millennium Falcon despite never flying it before. Yeah, at least this establishes in her character that she does know how to fly a spacecraft. Anyway, I've made a note here. Make this a mix of practical and computer effects. I love practical effects, not only in costumes, but also in special effects. Nothing for me will beat the look of the Star Destroyers and the TIE Fighters and all the other spaceships from Star Wars, and also other media, franchises. The Nostromo from Alien. I watched that on the big screen a few years ago at a special screen in my local cinema. I was blown away because I thought, oh my god, that looks so real, and then it clicked. Wait, that was real. That was an actual model. I, for a brief moment, thought, I am looking at an actual spaceship. Same with bloody Aliens, the sequel. seeing the I can't remember the name of it, but the Marine dropship flying through space. Star Trek, all of the originals, where they were using practical effects and models, looked so realistic, and then you complement that with a bit of computer effects. It might cost you more, but oh my god, it is going to make your scenes look a hell of a lot better. Anyway, so I've written here, a lot of people were just calling Jakku not Tatooine, or fake Tatooine. We've seen it before. It's a desert planet. It's a desert planet. What more do you want to see? So I've written here, instead make Jakku a junk planet. So the entire planet itself is one gigantic scrapyard. Bigger ships are towed into orbit, so they can be picked apart, scavenged for parts, useful parts, mechanics, power relays, weapons lenses, focusing lenses, or something like that. Resources that you can pillage from this ship. And then the rest of the metal is just sent into lower orbit, so it just crashes onto the planet. And then if anyone wants scrap, they go down, they pick up a heap of metal, and then use it for whatever. For me, that sounded fascinating, something we haven't seen in Star Wars, the films. And yeah, the moons themselves are where people live, habitable moons. Some could be a mining facility, some could be just farming, some could be complete industrial cities. Okay, so the movie actually does start on one of the habitable moons. In a small village, away from the main cities. It is isolated, it is small, not many people are going to ask too many questions. So we see Poe Dameron get off a speeder bike with another speeder bike in tow. And the reason for that is because we'll get to. He walks into a cantina or a bar and asks the barkeep for a glass of the good stuff, laying down a credit chit. Now this can be a callback to the Mos Eisley, like he looks around the cantina, just sees a bunch of people leering at him. The bartender can remark that he's lucky, they only just started using New Republic currency. This can help to emphasize the fact that, yeah, Jakku is pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. It's in the sticks. No one goes there. I'm going to retract that. It's out in the sticks. It's well out of the way. Progress does not come to this planet very quickly. It's out on the outer rim of the galaxy. So Poe tells the barkeep, yep, I'm looking for someone. An old man. Looks like he's seen some horrible, horrible things. But he acts frigid like there's a stick up his. The barman cuts him off to keep that joke G-rated. At least you got a bit of humor. You don't even have to put that in. But it also, yeah, paints Poe as a bit of a jokester. Points to a corner of the bar. Poe picks up his drinks with a gloved, long-sleeved arm. And there's a reason for that which will become apparent later. The camera can follow Poe through the bar, panning to different patrons who are giving him dirty looks. The village isn't used to company. It's out of the way. People aren't going to ask too many questions, but it doesn't mean they actually want you there. Poe reaches the table, sits down without excusing himself, just to emphasize also that he's a bit brash, cavalier, doesn't stand too much on protocol. So we see an old man with his face hidden behind a long hood, sipping from a glass. Poe says to the old man, "Man, you're hard to track down." And the old man just looks up from his hood, says, "The only reason I wanted you to find me is because I wanted to be found." Poe can respond, "Well, I guess a man as infamous as you needs to be careful, ex-Moff," and I've put insert Star Wars name here because, yeah, for one, I don't really know Star Wars names very well, but you can also have it as a name of a character from the old extended universe, or even just a name drop character from someone from the original trilogy. But for the time being, I'm just going to call him Moff. So Moff reveals his face, couple of battle scars around his face, like a blaster burn or a blade slice. You can still use the same actor that you used to play whatever his name was from the original Force Awakens. I think he is a good actor. I just can't remember his name. I'm terrible with names. Moff remarks that the New Republic has sent their best agent to retrieve and interrogate him, and that he feels honored. So, yeah. Okay, so there's a few reasons why I've made these changes. Poe is the agent. He's an operative. It didn't make narrative sense to send a pilot to retrieve information. Yes, he can get in and out of there quickly on his spaceship, but when he gets there, what's he gonna do? He doesn't really know too much about, like, from a pilot's point of view, walks into a dingy old cantina, what's he gonna do? You send an operative, you send a spy, someone who is used to tracking down information, used to hiding information, used for getting information back to where it needs to go safely. As I said earlier on, make him a Moff, make him an old enemy of the old rebellion, because, yeah, I did not have any emotional connection to this friend of Leia's. Who is this guy? Never heard of him. Don't care about him. He dies. Oh well. It also lends credibility to the fact that the old Republic, the old Empire is gone. It's been expunged, extinguished. It doesn't exist anymore. So, getting back to the actual scene. So Poe can say that out of respect for a former enemy, he'll get down to why he's there. Once again, it's to help identify Poe as a character. He might seem cavalier and brash, but when it comes down to business, he gets down to business. So Moff has information about this new power that makes the crime syndicate sound like a kid's birthday party. Just a joke from Poe. Terrible joke, someone else can rewrite it. Moff gives this power a name, the First Order. Poe can make a quip about the name, saying it's not very threatening or imaginative. Maybe even say the 67th Order would have been better, as a callback to Order 66 from the prequel trilogy. Moff first wants Poe's guarantee that he'll be granted immunity and protection in exchange for this information. Sure, fair enough, the guy's got a wanted poster on his back. He wants to make sure he's going to get out of this scot-free. Poe remarks he's under direct orders from Han Solo to find out any information about this First Order, but Moff has to give him a taste before bringing him in for a full debrief. Moff explains that the First Order might sound like a smaller version of the Empire, but they are more ruthless and violent. This can establish the fact that, yes, the First Order means business. They are here and they're going to kick some ass when they need to and whenever they can. Enslaving the populations of colonies and worlds on the Outer Rim for slave labor. Now, to my knowledge, apart from, militarily coercing certain characters into doing what they didn't want to be doing, the Galactic Empire endorsed slavery, but I don't think they ever used slaves. At least it didn't seem like that in the movies. Once again, this could be in the books. I haven't read them. Enslaving the populations of colonies and worlds on the Outer Rim for slave labor, or brainwashing the children for their military, slaughtering anyone who stands their ground, but doing so with all the military discipline of the Empire. So this is to say that they are, I've written here, they're disciplined, they're focused, they know what they want. They are kidnapping kids and forcing them to be soldiers, or brainwashing them to train them in order to be soldiers. Suddenly there's an explosion outside. Poe is instantly ready for action. He gets up, he's got his hand on his blaster. Moff says in despair that, oh no, the First Order must have found me, they must be here. You see a couple of stormtroopers, they break down the door. The barkeep, having heard the explosion, he pulls out an old-style blaster rifle. You could even use a prop from the Clone Wars, because I imagine a lot of counterfeit blasters would have been sold, or not even counterfeit, military grade blasters would have been sold and bought throughout the galaxy in that time, or even just scavenged from the battlefield. Now, for all we know, there could have been a fight on Jakku, and this guy just happened to steal one. But anyway, once again, just to call back to the prequel trilogies. He pulls out this old blaster rifle, and he's instantly shot. The First Order are not messing around. If they see a threat, they kill it. A dozen soldiers march through the door and point their rifles at Poe. Even though he does have a blaster, they're there for him. Poe just drops his blaster, drops it on the ground. He turns to Moff, saying it's time to take a page from his book. He puts his hands behind his head and he's surrendered. The soldiers drag everyone out of the bar, at least everyone they didn't shoot, line them up, kneeling in the street. Kylo Ren and Captain Phasma. Actually, no, sorry, I've written Commander Phasma. Captain Captain does sound like you're in charge of the military. Commander has more gravitas, it has more energy. Makes you sound more like you're in charge. Kylo Ren and Commander Phasma exit their shuttle, kind of like the entrance that Kylo had in the first one, surrounded by a few soldiers. They've got heavy themes for the music. And the rest of the scene is pretty much going to play out how it happened in The Force Awakens, except for a few things. Instead of the character Moff played from the original movie, where he just says some quip and then gets killed by Kylo, Kylo tells him he's done well leading him to his great prize, revealing that Moff has betrayed Poe and saying that the First Order made him a better offer. Now, he's an ex-Empire soldier. He was raised to hate the Republic. Of course he's going to betray Poe. And of course it also says, yeah, this guy is a survivor. He just wants to get paid, get the best deal he can, and get out of there. So everyone in the village is being rounded up by the soldiers, and Moff says to Kylo that he did as he was asked, and to escort him off the planet and give him his reward. Kylo says he can get his reward right now, activates his lightsaber, kills Moff. It is cliche, but it does demonstrate Kylo's ruthlessness, and you can even have him say some sort of wise sage quote. Poe can feign being broken up about it. Oh, come on, why kill him? He brought you to me, didn't he? And Kylo can respond with, any man who will stab a former enemy in the back for a reward may stab a new ally in the front. Kylo always seemed like an unhinged, whiny person in the original movies. Like, he was just one fry short of a Happy Meal and one string away from having a full psychotic breakdown. Violent one at that, actually he did. Anyway, this helps to show that he has some measure of control and focus over his emotions. He commands them, while also being ruthless. Phasma approaches Kylo, asking what they should do with the rest of the civilians, if they should abduct or if they should cleanse. Kylo surveys, looks around the village, saying that they have good manpower because they're used to scavenging, and to continue the process. You can cut to a shot of troopers rounding up the rest of the village, kicking down the door, grabbing people, dragging them out of their homes, women and children just screaming their heads off, blue bloody murder, please let me go, don't hurt my kids. And then you show one stormtrooper who's a little bit reluctant when it comes to a child. More troopers walk in from behind him, telling him that just because it's his first roundup, that doesn't mean that he can just slack off. And it brings him back into focus, grabs the kid, starts to pull her away. The child of the father appears with another half-powered blaster rifle or just a handgun, shoots a few of them, their armor deflecting a couple of shots. That always irked me in the originals, the fact that it seemed like despite having full body armor, you could just hit a stormtrooper with a bloody slingshot and they would die. Didn't make sense. So now you can see that their armor is actually deflecting a few shots, grazing them, so their armor is damaged, but it's not penetrated. But the father carrying the blaster manages to get lucky. He shoots one stormtrooper in the side armor or in the arm, somewhere where the armor isn't completely covered. And yeah, so the dad gets instantly shot. The kid is dragged out screaming, but then we see the first stormtrooper run to the side of his fallen comrade. He cradles him in his arms as he's dying. He reaches up, the bloody handprint over his face. It's Finn, obviously. Phasma approaches from behind, nonchalantly calling the fallen trooper weak, if he could be killed so easily. So she orders Finn to collect his fallen comrade's blaster, his equipment, the blaster from the fallen man as it can be repaired or used for parts, and she even says, and bring his body back to the shuttle, we can use him for parts later. This is for two reasons. One, it's again to show that the First Order does not mess around. When they need something, they need it and they take it. The other is to emphasize the fact that the First Order is still small. It's still growing. They don't have a lot of resources. They don't have a lot of manpower despite kidnapping colonies and equipment for who knows how long, but they still need what they have. So they're going to take what they have and keep it precious. So the rest of the scene can play out as you expect. You just see Finn dragging out the equipment, Phasma just looking at him, keeping an eye on him. Just trying to, as he's behaving in an aberrant manner compared to other stormtroopers. After Finn rejoins the rest of his squad, he's marked out by the bloody handprint, and we return to Kylo and Poe. Kylo picks up Poe by the scruff of the neck and says that he wants this one especially looked after. He is of great importance to us. And then we can cut to a shot from behind Poe. You see his hands are bound, and then his gloved hand in the long sleeve starts to glow, and his bindings are cut free, just randomly. The gloved hand starts to burn the glove, and it reveals that it's actually a cybernetic. It's a cybernetic implant. The arm molds and turns in on itself until it forms into a small blaster. Poe after he's been dropped to the ground by Kylo, stands up, tries to loose off 3 shots with this arm. Kylo, instantly detecting this with the Force, quickly turns around and holds all 3 blaster shots like he did in Force Awakens. The reason why he can do this, even though there's 3, is because they are weaker blaster shots compared to the blaster sniper rifle from Force Awakens. Kylo also picks Poe up with the Force, pushes his cybernetic arm down, allowing Poe to, down and then out. So he's like, and then Poe just walks up, inspects the arm. Kylo remarks that he likes the arm and he once knew someone with an arm like that, but unfortunately, this hand has forced my hand. Kylo turns Poe to face the villagers and tells Phasma to execute the whole lot of them. All the stormtroopers start firing on the screaming and dying villagers, except for Finn. After the massacre, Poe insults Kylo, calling him a bastard. There are innocent civilians. Kylo pulls Poe in again with the Force, saying, "Now you have seen my resolve twice. Pray you don't have to see it a 3rd time," before just knocking him unconscious with the Force, dropping him on the ground. A few other stormtroopers come through, just pick him up, drag him onto the ship. They remove his arm, from his shoulder. They strap him into a jump harness, and the rest of the stormtroopers carry equipment and technology from the village into the shuttles. The scene finishes with the dropship flying off and the 3 blaster shots resuming their course and speed, hitting the fountain like in Force Awakens. End of scene 1. Wow, half an hour, or over half an hour for just one scene. That is amazing. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Facebook. If I remember, I'll put the link below in the description. If you have any ideas of where you would like to see this version of the movie go, please leave them in the comments below. I will try to read all of them, and if I especially like it, I might even add it into my own version. But feel free to have a discussion with me in the comments below. In the meantime, I hope to see you next time. You have a great day. Ta-ra!